Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Reverend Cederman. I'm from Seattle, Washington. And once again, I'm invited by Tsukumoto Shonin to teach today. So I'm very honored to do that. And so today's main point of the seminar is inculcating Buddhism in our daily life. And also how, in accordance with our practice, because the last theory that Tsukumoto Shonin taught is very important, because the whole concept of why we're practicing, why we're doing it, with this very loaded word called enlightenment, it sounds very good, enlightenment. So it means many things to many people. Sometimes people think enlightened means I can have magical abilities, or enlightenment means I don't have to have any trouble in the world and that I'm constantly in a blissful state of happiness. Enlightenment can be escaping suffering. All of those things are really, how should you say, in a way, sounds good, but actually what is enlightenment? Something attainable in this life, in our daily life. And so therefore, especially in the Lotus Sutra, is life-affirming. And also that we can attain it within this life. We don't have to worry about having to wait to the next life to be able to awaken to enlightenment. So therefore, today's Komoto Sensei's explanation of enlightenment as an experience was a really spot-on, perfect example. And once again, that exemplifies our founder's life, Nichiren Shonin's life, and why he was so extraordinary, and why he's so important to our practice and the Lotus Sutra. So therefore, taking from that lecture to this lecture, we're going to talk about our personal practice. And I would like today to transmit to you perhaps some information that you don't have, as well as for you to think about your own personal practice, because that's where it originates from. Like Tsukumoto Sensei Shonin used the example of being able to see, going to a beautiful place and experiencing it for oneself, the smells, the nature, the beauty, the scenery, the people, all of that, having that experience can only be done by oneself, and any explanation, is not exact, that we can transmit it to others. So therefore, Buddhism is very important that everything starts with our practice. If you look at Nichiren Shonin's writing, especially Shohoji Sosho, without learning and practicing, there is no Buddhism. That is one gosho that I use all the time to balance my life, because it's very, in a middle way kind of idea that we learn. But most of the time when we think of learning, we think of intellectualizing something, or being philosophical about something, that we're learning something, we're cognitively learning something. But actually learning and practicing mean, as Tsukumoto Sensei said, with our mind, body, and mouth, the three things that we use. So therefore, how does this relate to our daily practice? And why is our daily practice important? Because one of the reasons why I wanted to do this part of the seminar is a lot of us, we may believe the Lotus Sutra is the greatest teaching out there. We may believe in the Buddha's message. We may believe in the Eternal Buddha. We may believe in Nichiren Shonin, the Daimoku. But how does it differ than just believing in, Christmas or something like that, and just going to church on Sundays, or going to, in the Catholic tradition they call, Christmas Catholics, where people only go to church on Christmas, where practice, teaching, and one's life are all separate, and it almost becomes almost a tradition or a ritual. As you can see in some Buddhist countries, unfortunately, that's what's happened. It's become very ritual, very much ritual in the sense that most people associate, unfortunately, with just death or funerals. However, we as Nichiren Buddhists have the rare and most important opportunity about meeting this teaching, that we can actualize it in our daily life. And one of the things that I've been working on as being a priest and as a believer is the same issues that I'm thinking you're working on too. How does this work? How does this affect my life? How do I change my life? How do I become positive? How do I become happy? Because ultimately, we're doing this practice to escape suffering ourselves. And along the way, Buddha, as he said, educates us that we wish to help others, because then we realize self and others are interconnected. Though it's a natural progression. But initially, I joined Buddhism because I wanted to be free of my own suffering and perhaps have a little more clarity in my life, that I could enjoy my life a lot more. The great thing about the Lotus Sutra and some of the wordings that Tsukamoto Shonin used was experience, which means enjoying life, experiencing life. And so therefore, Buddhism is not separate or bound to another world or to some imaginative philosophy or imaginative religion or imaginative God. Buddhism is about our lives and changing our lives. And where does that change begin? Not through all the doctrine that we read. However, study is very important. But learning comes down to many things. That means learning with your body, learning with your life, especially your daily life. And we're, the example of the lotus flower. And Tsukamoto Shonin said, pay attention. If you don't pay attention, you may have all the opportunities that the Buddha in this life present to you. But if you don't have the awareness to see it, it misses you. And so, being a priest, one of the saddest things I experience is someone who's 80 years old or 90 years old say, I regret something, or what was the meaning of my life? It happens. So therefore, we need to find meaning. And I believe that meaning, as it was transmitted to us, is through our practice, through our action, through our experience, our direct experience. So beginning with that, what is it that we all have in common for our practice? Now you may think that priests do something special or different. Actually, same struggle, same practice, same questions. Daily service. Okay? Daily service, a lot of times people say, well, this is a nice ritual. And when I do it, I feel good. Or when I do it, some people believe, I get things. Or I see things. Or all kinds of amazing things happen. Or it's just something that because I consider myself a Nichiren Buddhist, I do it. Well, all of those things I don't think are enough to make you or inspire you to do morning and evening service. Because I have to admit, when I first became a Nichiren Buddhist, doing a morning and evening service, I didn't understand, and it was a chore. And chanting the sutra, my whole time my mind is thinking, okay, what is next? And give me the real magical stuff, Tell me some magic formula, I can make myself invisible, or walk through walls, or, or heal people, or pretend this or that. But actually, over the years, this too has developed, because I believe as the Buddha presented me with different experiences, personal experiences in my life, I really, at this point, have a deep understanding of what my learning and practicing is. And the last part of what Tsukamoto Sensei has said, humbleness. We're very lucky that we have such an example as Nichiren Shonin, who, despite what people present him as this very outspoken, loudmouth type person, extremely humble, extremely gentle person. He was fierce and very established and believed deeply and had deep faith in his conviction because he loved the Buddha, loved the teaching of the Buddha. So therefore he had to say very direct truth. But in his mind, he was always ready to accept whatever the Buddha gave to him, including bad, right? Because a lot of times when we practice faith or religion or something, we expect good. A lot of times people want a real estate in the heaven or next world. So if you go to the next world, there's a condo waiting there for you. Don't worry. You'll have plenty of friends, and you can do whatever you enjoy doing. So if you enjoy golf or soccer, plenty of that for you. However, I tend to be a little more realistic that I would like to experience my benefit in this life. So let's begin with our daily practice. The three things that Tsukumoto Sensei mentioned was what? That needed to be purified. What were they? They were mind, body, and the mouth, okay? And also, when we perform service, especially in how do you say, showing and understanding the Homon no Honzon and Homon no Daiboku, this is all done with those facets of our body and spirit. So, over time, how do we approach our morning service? So a lot of times we give a basic eulogy that is a list of what you do. Just as we did here, we read invocation, kaikyoge. How many of you chant all the chapters, you know? Maybe one or two. Some people just chant the daimoku. But what is the meaning of each of these actions? Because technically, the good thing about Buddhism is that it brings up questioning. And being able to question Buddhism, because your question about the historical accuracy of the sutra, etc., was a very brave question. Because I don't know too many religious organizations I would ask that. But the Buddhism, we ask that question of ourselves too. So as I go through this example of our daily practice, I would like you to ask yourself some questions and see how this relates to you. And my philosophy, my belief of daily service is that each person has to understand each part by themselves. So hopefully today, as I explain some things, you will have some insight, okay? So going back to, as Tsukumoto Sensei said, purifying ourselves. So when we wake up in the morning, how is our mood, you know? Some days it's a good mood. Some days it's a bad mood, cranky mood, ornery mood. Isn't it ornery? Like troublemaker, like ornery. We call it in the United States, I think it's a southern word, ornery. That means like a troublemaker mood. And that our mood is very unstable. How many people agree your mood is unstable? Are you all very stable people? Okay, no. Myself included. Even though sometimes I look stable. But, so, in our lives are very unstable. And so therefore, throughout our life, we've had ups and downs. So, no matter how you wake up in the morning, usually that, sentence it's almost like a prison sentence for the whole entire day. And some days you may be able to change it. Something in your day may change. However, that is still your life. And also how we behave, how we interact with others in the world automatically create, as we believe in karma or action and cause and effect idea. So therefore, you know, how many times people look at me and say, okay, today Sensei is cranky, so be careful, you know. You can sometimes tell, or other people say, mother or father is cranky, so be careful because something bad happened. And also in our day, little things can totally change our mood. You know, I tend to be very sensitive about little things that can totally flip my mood to something very negative. So in Buddhism, this obviously is not acceptable for our practice, because our practice of Buddhism is to improve ourselves, to awaken ourselves, and as I said, to enlighten ourselves through experience in our life. And therefore, as the teachings grow, we also must grow and mature. So therefore, and be flexible enough to do it. So I realized, and maybe you have too, everyone here has performed morning and evening, morning service once, right? Yes? How about the days, like when you start practicing, you do morning service 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Then you miss a day. Then you miss another day. Then you miss another day. And then you start feeling regret and upset, and also those days tend to be different. So have you ever experienced the days you chant, how things go, and the days, simply how the days that you don't practice, how do they go? And my question is to myself, why? What is changing? What am I, and the whole reason why we're in Buddhism is to change our lives, I believe, and to be able to attain happiness. So, first of all, let us establish daily practice has the ability to change our mind. Okay, we'll get more into why it changes our mind. But action, okay? So morning and evening service is an action. Also, discipline is an action with the mind. Because our mind will tell you you want to do other things. Your 6 o'clock show is on, 5 o'clock show, children are being loud, people are making phone calls. Always something we can find a distraction. I mean, we're pretty good at distractions. I'm extremely good at distractions because I have so many things to do. I have no time in my life for chanting. But I realize if I don't do that, I suffer. And also, quality of life and experience of life is something totally different. So, down to the nitty-gritty. As Sensei said, we use these faculties even not only for our practice, but our daily life, right? As he said, good and bad things come from here. Compliments, love, but also backbiting and mean comments and lying. But then also our body commits many good and bad things during the day. And our mind, the most, hidden of all, thinks bad things about people, judges people, dislikes people, hates people, even those kinds of poisons. So first thing, and this comes from actually a sutra that was for lay people, and how to practice. First, we should purify those things, because when you wake up in the morning, first of all, let's just use the example, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, okay? So grumpy. Usually, most people, first thing they go for is what? I don't drink coffee, but most people go for coffee. You ever had that? I need my coffee or else I'm not normal. I need my coffee or else I cannot function. Again, coming from the mouth, that kind of thing. So actually, we should purify these sense organs immediately in the morning. And one of the practices that I'd like to share with you is, first thing, wake up. Most of us, hopefully you brush your teeth before you talk to people, but should rinse out the mouth and brush the teeth. Then next, body should put the water on the face, and also prepare yourself to go in front of the Butsudan. So a lot of times, I'm sure people wake up in their pajamas, or I've had to talk to some of my disciples because they tried to go to the pajamas and start chanting. That's still carrying over that sleepiness, that kind of, we would call ignorance in a way. So therefore, most important is change the mind. And purification is very important in Buddhism, right? So we should purify our mouth and body. Actually, in the sutra that I referenced, they say that the layperson should walk up, brush their teeth, rinse out their mouth, wash their hair, wash the body, and put on new clothes before doing anything else. Okay? That is preparing the mouth and the body. How about the mind? In my temple, we quiet the mind through meditation. Actually, I realized having Sunday services, actually we have a lot of people in my temple. So usually first thing people see, Sunday service, like in Catholicism or Judaism or anything, they don't have Sunday service in Judaism. Friday, Saturday. But people usually, this is a social hour. How are you doing? And to compare clothing and sometimes judge other people's clothing. But actually, I realized people, to start service, their mind was like a river, like a water, not a waterfall, like a very violent river. That everyone is confused and talking, and people don't understand what is the point of being at the temple. It's not a swap meet. It's actually a place of practice. So therefore I realized as soon as before starting service, we do a walking and sitting meditation for 5-10 minutes. That is to quiet and purify the mind. Because you can clean and do anything to the body, but the mind, if it's restless and suffering, you can't concentrate. So therefore, we should prepare our mind. We should prepare our bodies. And through this ritual, we may think, well, this is an empty ritual. Actually, as Tsukumoto Shonin said, our experience each day as you, discipline your mind, discipline yourself to do these basic things, to prepare yourself. This is just preparing. You will have many struggles and gain lots of insight. Because to be honest, myself, to do that took a long time of accomplishment and failure, accomplishment and failure, accomplishment and failure. However, the one motivating factor was I didn't enjoy my life. I didn't enjoy the days fully when I did not do this practice. So I need this practice, just as people need their coffee in the morning. But I don't think coffee does the same thing as chanting. So prepare yourself. Then go before your Butsudan. Important is consistency. Because once again, what are we fighting? Ignorance, right? The monkey mind. We call it the drunken monkey mind. Nothing against monkeys. I'm not saying there are some monkeys that have better behavior than humans, but this mind of being able to, I must do this first, and always finding some distraction. Because you all had that before. You woke up to do service, you're all set, and then suddenly you get a phone call, and you're like, should I answer that? Should I answer that? Then you answer it, and you're on something else. That is suffering. Because when you are not aware of your own existence, when you're not aware of your own experience, when you're not fully participating in your life, that is illusion. That is suffering, according to the Buddha. So therefore, time is very important to train the mind, to train the body, to do exactly the same time every day. So make a time that's quiet. If you another thing is sometimes if you have families, if they wish to chant with you, everyone should meet at that time. Not as easy as it sounds, because once again we're working with distracted, drunken monkey mind people who wish to become Buddhas but don't want to do the homework. Don't want to do the work. We wish it could just come to us. So far, we prepare the Butsudan. So I will go over the Butsudan shortly. But most important is preparing our heart and mind. So I have a article here that I found to be one of the most interesting. It was actually written by our local shonin here. So that's a Tsukumoto shonin. Daily chanting is a basic and important prayer as Nichiren Buddhist. It is called gongyo or shingyo, as he mentioned today, faith practice. Or, as Ikenaga Sensei and I were asking last night, otsutome. That is another way of saying practice. Every morning, chanting to the Buddha in Nichiren Shonin, we chant for many things. Our family's security, our ancestors, peace for our ancestors, and other people's happiness, including ourselves, that we may have a good day. And then every evening, we at that time express thanks again to the Buddha, Nichiren, and Shonin for the day, as well as having a peaceful day and for our family's safety. The feeling after morning and evening service allows us to have a certain peace and brings our mind to hopes for tomorrow. And it is also a valuable time to meditate on one's own daily life and to reflect on our past life. Morning and evening service, Otsutome, is an important daily event as well as practice for approaching enlightenment. So, when we sit to prepare for service after purifying our three sense organs of the mouth, body, and mind, we then put ourselves in the posture. So once again, we cannot neglect the body. The body usually is the first thing to bug us when we chant, right? So today my back hurts, so I can't sit the seiza, or one side of my shoulder is like this, the other side is like that. When many people also think of yoga in the morning, if we can't function without yoga. But actually, I found that chanting, morning and evening service, if done correctly, is better than any yoga I've ever had, both physically and mentally. So once again, we've prepared ourselves, we've prepared everyone around us. If you are practicing with other people, usually I greet them in the morning, because most people are not morning people and don't like to be greeted. However, we're just about to greet the Buddha and Nichiren Shonin as well as our ancestors. So therefore, that is the first greeting of the morning as a family, because we should all understand that the Buddha and the Nichiren Shonin are part of our family now. And we invite them into our house and bring them into our house through the Butsudan, which means the Buddha's house. So therefore, as we welcome each other, just by ourselves, sit for a moment, calm your mind and body. Straighten your body. Because if you go into anything, like a job interview or anything like this, right? Or lack of confidence or peacefulness, it shows. And also, it affects your ability to properly have the proper action to accomplish your aim. So therefore, when we sit, whether you sit in a chair or sit on the floor, body position is very important. So we don't mind to sit any position. However, the two basic ones that are very good for posture, and also just as in meditation, we need to still the body from distraction to see our true mind, because that is what we're trying to accomplish chanting Daimoku, is see something within ourselves, experience something in ourselves. Calming our body, very important. So therefore, when you sit, we have a natural center. So you have your two hips, you have your front and the back. There's an imaginary center that if you sit either on a chair, not with the, most people have the curved backs. This causes stress on your shoulder. But if you can find a balance point, you can sit for a very long time without getting tired. And also, I found myself on the days that when I feel some, pain on my body, I usually think, well, that's my bad karma. So therefore, today I fixed that one. Challenge, because technically, according to Buddha, our life is a result of our actions, right? And there are causes and actions in our life. So therefore, let us take this chance, every chance, to fix our mind, to fix our body. So when I sit before especially our Buddha, the teachers there, Buddha, Nichiren, and Shonin, they're alive. They're in your house. And, I don't know about any of you. Have you ever had a celebrity come to your house? Buddha, Nichiren, and Shonin are not only visiting our house, but live in our house. And so therefore the priest comes and installs it within the Gohonzon as well as statues sometimes. But also our Butsudan, as well as our ancestors. So we prepare ourselves. And as you can see, Buddhism is a lot of, discipline. That's all.